Area 51 is the common name of a highly classified United States Air Force facility located within the Nevada Test and Training Range. The intense secrecy surrounding the base has made it the frequent subject of conspiracy theories and a central component of unidentified flying object (UFO) folklore. The base has never been declared a secret base, but all research and occurrences in Area 51 are top secret. Millions of people signed up to storm Area 51 in September based on a Facebook event focused on storming the infamous Area 51 United States Air Force Base. Started as a joke, but has since taken on a life of its own. Conspiracy theorists believe that the remains of crashed UFO spacecrafts are stored at Area 51, an Air Force base about 150 miles from Las Vegas, where government scientists reverse engineer the aliens' highly advanced technology. Some believe that the government studies time travel at Area 51, also known as Groom Lake or Dreamland. Zodiac Killer is the pseudonym of an unidentified American serial killer who operated in Northern California from at least the late 1960s to the early 1970s. The Zodiac murdered victims in Benicia, Vallejo, Napa County, and San Francisco between December 1968 and October 1969. The killer targeted 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29, with 2 of the men surviving attempted murder. The Zodiac himself claimed to have killed up to 37 victims. The killer originated the name Zodiac in a series of taunting letters and cards sent to the local Bay Area press. In May 2018, the Vallejo Police Department announced their intention to attempt to collect the Zodiac Killer's DNA from the back of stamps he used during his correspondence. In May 2018, a Vallejo police detective said that results were expected in several weeks. However, as of December 2019, no results have been reported. The June 1962 Alcatraz escape was a prison break from Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, a maximum security facility located on an island in San Francisco Bay, undertaken by inmates Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin. The 3 men were able to escape from their cells and leave the island in a makeshift raft. The fate of the escapees after they entered San Francisco Bay has remained unknown. The escape was marked by elaborate planning and execution. In 1979, the FBI officially closed its investigation, concluding that the men drowned in San Francisco Bay, while trying to reach land. However, the U.S. Marshals Service has continued to keep the escapees on its wanted list. New circumstantial and material evidence has continued to surface, stoking further research and debates on whether the inmates managed to survive. Gardner Museum heist. On March 18, 1990, there are 13 works of art were stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston in the early hours. Guards admitted 2 men posing as police officers responding to a disturbance call, and the thieves tied the guards up and looted the museum over the next hour. The stolen works were originally procured by art collector Isabella Stewart Gardner, 1840 to 1924, and intended for permanent display at the museum with the rest of her collection. The FBI believes that the robbery was planned by a criminal organization. The case lacks strong physical evidence, and the FBI has largely depended on interrogations, undercover informants, and sting operations to collect information. The FBI has valued the haul at $500 million, and no arrests have been made and no works have been recovered. The museum is offering a $10 million reward for information leading to the art's recovery, the largest bounty ever offered by a private institution. Elizabeth Short, 1924 to 1947, known posthumously as the Black Dahlia, was an American woman who was found murdered in the Leimert Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. Her case became highly publicized due to the graphic nature of the crime, which included her corpse having been mutilated and bisected at the waist. The body had apparently been washed by the killer. Short's face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to her ears, creating an effect known as the Glasgow smile. Short's unsolved murder and the details surrounding it have had a lasting cultural intrigue, generating various theories and public speculation. Her murder is frequently cited as one of the most famous unsolved murders in American history, as well as one of the oldest unsolved cases in Los Angeles County. Police came to consider George Hill Hodel Jr. a suspect after the 1947 murder of Elizabeth Short. He was never formally charged with the crime, and came to wider attention as a suspect after his death when he was accused by his son, Los Angeles homicide detective Steve Hodel. Dan Cooper is the pseudonym of an unidentified man who hijacked a Boeing 727 aircraft in the northwest United States, in the airspace between Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington, on the afternoon of Wednesday, November 24, 1971. The man purchased his airline ticket using the alias Dan Cooper, but, because of a news miscommunication, became known in popular lore as DB Cooper. He extorted $200,000 in ransom, equivalent to $1,260,000 in 2019, and parachuted to an uncertain fate. Despite an extensive manhunt and protracted FBI investigation, the perpetrator has never been located or identified. It remains the only unsolved case of air piracy in commercial aviation history. The FBI maintained an active investigation for 45 years after the hijacking. Despite a case file that has grown to over 60 volumes over that period, no definitive conclusions have been reached regarding Cooper's true identity or whereabouts. The FBI officially suspended active investigation of the case in July 2016, but the agency continues to request that any physical evidence that might emerge related to the parachutes or the ransom money be submitted for analysis. El Dorado was the term used by the Spanish Empire to describe a mythical tribal chief of the Muisca people, an indigenous people of the Altiplano Cundiboyacense of Colombia, who, as an initiation rite, covered himself with gold dust and submerged in Lake Guatavita. The legends surrounding El Dorado change over time, as it went from being a man, to a city, to a kingdom, and then finally to an empire. In the course of these explorations, much of northern South America, including the Amazon River, was mapped. By the beginning of the 19th century, most people dismissed the existence of the city as a myth. The real story behind the myth has slowly been pieced together over recent years using a combination of early historical texts and new archaeological research. The dream of El Dorado, a lost city of gold, led many a conquistador on a fruitless trek into the rainforests and mountains of South America. But it was all wishful thinking. The Golden One was actually not a place but a person, as recent archaeological research confirms. The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle or Hurricane Alley, is a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The earliest suggestion of unusual disappearances in the Bermuda area appeared in a September 17, 1950, article published in the Miami Herald, but Lot says hundreds have disappeared here mysteriously since 1918. Events such as the crash of planes, the sinking of ships, the collapse of the compass, and etc. Scientists express different ideas for these events like hexagonal clouds, deep earthquakes, atmospheric disturbances, methane gas and etc. and each of these reasons justifies part of the events in that area. Triangle writers have used a number of supernatural concepts to explain the events. One explanation pins the blame on leftover technology from the mythical lost continent of Atlantis. Other writers attribute the events to UFOs. As per the report says, there are 924 fatalities and 19 survivors of this mysterious triangular area. Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer active in the largely impoverished areas in and around the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. Attacks ascribed to Jack the Ripper typically involved female prostitutes who lived and worked in the slums of the East End of London whose throats were cut prior to abdominal mutilations. The removal of internal organs from at least 3 of the victims led to proposals that their killer had some anatomical or surgical knowledge. Rumors that the murders were connected intensified in September and October 1888, and numerous letters were received by media outlets in Scotland Yard from individuals purporting to be the murderer. The name Jack the Ripper originated in a letter written by an individual claiming to be the murderer that was disseminated in the media. The murders were never solved, and the legends surrounding these crimes became a combination of genuine historical research, folklore, and pseudo-history. In 2015, the Jack the Ripper Museum opened in East London. In 2006, BBC History magazine and its readers selected Jack the Ripper as the worst Briton in history. The Mariana Trench is located in the western Pacific Ocean about 200 kilometers east of the Mariana Islands. It is the deepest oceanic trench on Earth. It is crescent-shaped and measures about 2,550 kilometers in length and 69 kilometers in width. The maximum known depth is 10,984 meters, 36,037 feet, at the southern end of a small slot-shaped valley in its floor known as the Challenger Deep. The trench was first sounded during the Challenger expedition in 1875, using a weighted rope, which recorded a depth of 4,475 fathoms. In 1951, Challenger 2 surveyed the trench using echo sounding. During this survey, the deepest part of the trench was recorded when the Challenger 2 measured a depth of 5,960 fathoms, known as the Challenger Deep. By comparison, Mount Everest stands at 29,026 feet, 8,848 meters, above sea level, meaning the deepest part of the Mariana Trench is 7,044 feet, 2,147 meters, deeper than Everest, is tall.